Singularity University is a unique place in the world. It is a place where we bring people together from around the world, not just the world geographically, but the world of ideas, to work on global grand challenges using cutting-edge technologies. I think that one of the best things that comes out of Singularity University is people who are not becoming better experts, they become expert beginners. They learn to see the entire world of ideas as their toolkit, rather than limiting themselves to the tools that they might have grown up with. One of the things that I love about right now, this decade, is not the growth of technology by itself, it's the growth of people who are using it. When you think about that very first computer, the first digital computer in the 1940s, there were really only a few programmers using it. A few years later, there's 10, there's 20 computers in the world, and now there's hundreds of people using it. Now we're in a world where there's billions of computers in the world and billions of people using them. This trend, this democratization is what's interesting, because when you have an original technology and the original inventor, you're limited to the ideas of only the people in the room. Once the technology is democratized, you're limited to the ideas of everybody who might be using it, and that's not really a limitation. It's a complicated one, right? I mean, there's always the very photogenic and controversial ways that we talk about human enhancement, but I think that one of the first most beautiful cases of human enhancement, we don't think about it this way, is the library. And think about the first time that you as a child walk into a library where there's 10,000 books or 100,000 books. You're never going to read all of them in your lifetime, but they're there and available for you to pick and choose and take a path through them. All these other technologies that exist out there are the same sort of thing. They're like a library where we're going to be able to go in and find new ways of interacting with information, to be able to share it with each other. And it will be different, but then reading itself was thought to be a bit different when that first came out, I'm sure. I think to me the big one right now is translation software. Now, translation software, like every really interesting technology, is really old, right? I mean, people were announcing translation software projects 20, 25 years ago, and they'd come out and people get disappointed by them. If you look though nowadays, Skype, for example, has this Skype real-time translation. Other people are building it, where suddenly translation in the background is becoming good enough for a lot of conversations. I wouldn't do a contract in it, but it's pretty close. And that means that as the next few billion people are coming online, getting even basic access to phone conversations and text, they also have the possibility of being able to talk to anybody, not just the people in their own language. If scientific papers are open and people are willing to help teach them, but again, they're only in English, it's only in German and a few languages, how does that help somebody who doesn't speak those languages? We don't think about translation software as being an amazing technology. It is though, and I think over the next 3 or 4 years, being able to have a conversation where a person who needs some scientific research, they can find the paper, and of course there's some very good AI tools which are now existing to help people do the search, to have an assistant. But if you find something you can't read, what's the point? So being able to find the papers, find the people, call for help, offer to help, and you're not limited by language anymore, in the same way that the phone helps us not be limited by location, that's going to make really interesting change in the 2020s. Well, I think one thing that we should be changing is our attitude towards what needs to change. Because many times I've seen today people saying, okay, well, we need to change our education system, we need to change the attitude of children to adapt to new technologies. And I think it's really better to say, how can we start adapting technologies to reflect the reality of what children are like?